Hi everyone, I hope you all are having a great day. We have a lot to talk about today, and I think we should start with the sexual harassment allegation made by Senator Natasha Akpoti against the Senate President of Nigeria, Akpoti. Have you all been following the story? Senator Uduan alleged she was harassed by him. I want to talk about it from a human rights perspective, and I want to know what you all think. Also, I want us to talk about the recent mini protest that was led by Shore 2 days ago. Once again, the police fired and used tear gas. Yes, you heard it. I think the government is scared of something, and I'll tell you what. Let's get into it. Welcome back to Justice is Real. Where do I start? Let's start with the recent interview that was given by former Senator Adesheye Ogunlewe on Arise News, where he stated, and I'll read it to you. The former senator stated that in Nigeria, sexual harassment is not a big issue. He continued by saying that when you're sexually harassed in Nigeria, you refuse. That's all. Take a look.
So, sexual harassment in Nigeria, to my mind, is not a big issue.
Really?
Abroad, yes. In Nigeria, okay, when you are sexually harassed, you refuse. That's all. What is important there?
It's not a big
when
issue.
they wink at you, you
wink back.
You wink back.
So it's not
you say your face.
Another interview that I saw was granted by former Senator Itagiwa. Now, I'll also tell you what she said about this case as well. I'll read it out to you. Former Senator Itagiwa stated that it's a sign of weakness for Senator Natasha Uduan to come out and accuse a man of making a pass at her at that level. Take a look.
This matter, I am not with Akpoti. You understand? Number one, it is the worst sign of weakness on a woman's part. You understand? For you to come out and accuse a man or accuse a man of making passes at you at that level.
I'm actually surprised at the comments former Senator Itagiwa made. I'm surprised, and I'm equally just as shocked, because it's not about the level. It's just not. It's about the act of what was alleged here to have happened to former Senator Uduan. Or what do you think? Because sexual harassment goes a lot deeper than the level. It's about the emotional impacts, the physical, the professional impact it could have on a woman's well-being. It's about the long-term impacts that could be either quiet or loud, that will just start to manifest in one form or the other. And even as Senator Natasha Akpoti Uduan had alleged this act, it would have been nice to have seen some support coming from someone like former Senator Itagiwa. You're a woman, former Senator Itagiwa. You are a woman. It would also have just been nice to have seen a situation where her allegation was taken a bit more seriously. As this was alleged, why wasn't an investigation carried out? Because I read somewhere that, she approached the ethics committee about it, but nothing was done. An allegation such as sexual harassment like this, at least, there could have been an investigation. For the Senate President needs to step back, step down. Why are you still on seat? As former Senator Natasha Uduan alleged sexual harassment and nothing was done about it, it's a violation of her human rights under the VAP Act 2015, Section 3 of it, that speaks against sexual harassment. Even under the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Section 34, protects the right to freedom and degrading treatment. Now, another thing is suspending Senator Uduan is suspending her whilst allowing the Senate president to remain on seat with nothing being done to him whatsoever is unethical. It's unlawful and it's unethical. It's clear that sexual harassment is not fully understood by many in certain quarters in Nigeria, and it's paramount that training is introduced in certain sectors. Training would actually help to shed more light on what sexual harassment entails, what it's all about, its impact, how to spot it, how to identify, how to report, how to avoid it on the part of men. Training would really help. Another thing that I wonder, what do you think? What do you think should be an option of how we tackle this? How should we handle this? It would be nice to hear from you. We want to hear from you. Let's rub minds on how to handle this issue so women are not continually subjected to sexual harassment in Nigeria. The level of sexual harassment that occurs in Nigeria, it's mind-blowing. Many women in Nigeria, or at least a lot of women, have actually experienced sexual harassment coming from a man at the hands of a man or men. So, let's talk about it. I wonder also if anonymity might actually help the case of a woman who comes forward to accuse a man of sexual harassment. Now, what do I mean by anonymity? For instance, it wasn't recent, a case involving Philip Green, the Arcadia Group tycoon. This case happened many years ago. Philip Green was accused of sexual harassment in the UK, and one of the things that actually happened in this case was the woman who accused him was given anonymity, meaning no one knew who the woman was. Her identity was protected to avoid further harassment, to avoid trolling on social media, because Philip Green was a tycoon. He was a big shot, a very powerful guy. So the media outlets came together and agreed not to release the woman's identity. Another thing is the courts can also issue an anonymity order where nobody can mention who the woman is. These are some things that we can actually consider in situations like this that involve Senator Natasha Uduak. Probably anonymity would have helped to avoid further abuse, trolling on social media, wanting to harass her even further, sending hooligans and thugs to harass or intimidate her. I wonder if this is something that we really need to consider. In fact, I don't even think I wonder. It's something that I think we should actually consider in Nigeria, where we provide a woman who accuses a man of sexual harassment anonymity, at least. Even if it means the woman can remain anonymous till the case is over, after the accused has been either found guilty or found wanting, so to speak, then, we can consider if the woman's name should then be released. But these are things to look at. Okay, let's move to our next story. The recent protest that occurred, that was led by Sowore. 2 days ago, there were a few protests in Nigeria. Sowore led the mini protest in Abuja, Nigeria, demanding 1, good governance regarding the state of the economy, 2, the repeal of the Cybercrime Act, and 3, an end to the state of emergency rule in Rivers State, Nigeria. Now, the protest in itself coincided with the National Police Day celebration, so they advised Sowore not to hold the protest. He went ahead, and the police, in typical form, used tear gas and fired bullets to disperse the mini crowd. I would have assumed that as it was the National Police Day celebration, the Nigerian police force would have honored the occasion by demonstrating that they could uphold the rule of law. But typical to our Nigerian police, they chose not to. They chose the alternative of tear gassing the mini crowd of demonstrators, tear gassing them, and even going as far as using bullets to disperse the mini crowd. Now, when they were asked, the Nigerian police force said that there were hoodlums, hooligans in the crowd who were there to cause problems, and as such, they felt the need, they needed to use the force through tear gassing and dispersing bullets into the crowd to just scatter the mini crowd. Are Nigerians not allowed to protest? What do you think? Should we sit back and stomach every and anything that the government does? Are we not allowed? Are Nigerians not allowed to speak up? Why do we have laws if we're not allowed to apply them to protect our human rights in Nigeria? What are your thoughts on these things? Do you think about these things? What does the law say about the right to protest in Nigeria? I'll read some of it to you. Section 39 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria talks about freedom of expression. So we are allowed to express ourselves freely. Section 40 of the same Constitution talks about freedom of assembly and association. So we are allowed to gather peacefully, we are allowed to meet, we are allowed to assemble. The African Charter on Human and People's Rights Act of 1983 talks about the right to freedom of which in Nigeria applies, talks about the right to freedom of association and assembly, the same right I just read under the Constitution of the Federal Republic. It talks about the right to participate in government, and it talks about the right to express dissent. So why do we allow the Nigerian government to constantly intimidate Nigerians, apply force to suppress whenever there's a gathering or there's a protest? Why? I just want us to talk. I just want us to, let's engage. Let's talk about these things. Why does this repeatedly happen? And then the Nigerian government always makes the excuse they always make is, there's hoodlums, hooligans in the crowds. They got a tip-off or intelligence had shown that there's hoodlums and hooligans are in the crowd, and they need to disperse it by using force of tear gas and bullets. I know it's easier said than done, but that's exactly how the Nigerian government wants Nigerians to continue to see mass protests as easier said than done. And that is why they continue. The Nigerian government weaponizes hunger. They use hunger as a weapon to keep Nigerians constrained because they don't want Nigerians to think beyond hunger. They don't want you to have the ability to be able to change your mindset. They don't even want you to know that you have rights and that your rights can be enforced in a democratic society, so they wouldn't want mass protests. Remember I spoke about the Nigerian government being afraid of something. What I think, and it would be nice to hear what you think as well. What I think is that the Nigerian government is afraid of mass protests because it threatens stability. It threatens their stability and it threatens their control. They know that if Nigerians can come together and look beyond the weapon of hunger that they have repeatedly used and the weapon of ethnic incitements, where they've put ethnicities against one another in Nigeria, they know that the voice of the people will speak louder. They know the power that the people have when they come together. So they wouldn't want it to happen. It requires a coming together where every Nigerian who feels the pinch comes together, young and old, and it will be a lot of Nigerians, because many Nigerians are feeling the pinch. And they know, the government knows, that if they allow many Nigerians to come together, wow, what could potentially happen? When you look at countries all over the world where the voice of the people have spoken volumes through a mass protest, I'll just read a few out to you. Tunisia, 2011, that was the Arab Spring. Egypt, 2011. Sudan, 2019. Ukraine, 2004 and 2014. Iceland, 2009. Burkina Faso, 2014. Serbia, the year 2000. These were mass protests where the people said no, enough is enough. And the government had no choice. Well, I guess I'm just a human rights advocate. But like many other human rights advocates who have been speaking up, we're speaking up too. Till next time, take care of yourself and each other.